Good morning and welcome to Masterclass Cook Along. It is Saturday morning, it is time to bake. Now, the 17th of May is World Baking Day. So what we've decided to do is build up to World Baking Day by creating some fun all around buns. So what we want to create is a hashtag, show us your buns. We want you out there to show us your amazing bun recipes, tell us why they're amazing, share the photos on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, post them to us, just show us your buns and I'll show you mine. Okay, and mine today is a lemon ice bun. Now this is absolutely a blast of nostalgia for me. I remember as a kid going to Coupland's Bakery in York and getting a lemon ice bun, and the conundrum was, do you eat the icing first or do you eat the bread and the icing together? I was icing first. What about you, Emily?
Yeah, I'm an
icing first.
Yeah, you can feel it off.
Yeah. So, but what we need to do is show you how to make some amazing ones at home. So it's based around a brioche style recipe, okay? So we've got 350 grams of strong bread flour, okay? And I'm going to soften that crumb, and what I mean by that is I'm going to add 100 grams, 150 grams of plain flour, just to kind of take it, to make the crumb a little softer, a little nicer, a little more delicate. It's not a bread bun with icing on, this is an ice bun. Okay, so in with the two flours. Now, we're going to add 14 grams of dried yeast, or 2 sachets. And then we've got a tablespoon of sugar, okay? We're going to blend all that together. Now, my little secret weapon to make this extra yummy, all right? Now, normally with brioche, you would add eggs. I'm going to add custard powder, all right? Which is made of eggs and vanilla. So it's going to be nice, isn't it? You could add egg if you want to, no problem at all. I just thought, flour, powder, I'll add this to that and blend it through. All of a sudden, I've now got this sort of vanilla-y enriched flavoured flour. So a good tablespoon, maybe a little bit more, just for good measure. And finally, a pinch of salt, just to balance it out, because bread always kind of needs a little bit of salt, all right? Normally you would add about 10 grams to a loaf, but I only need about 5 grams here. And then in with your hand, and just blend the flour. So lift it up, and then just shake it through your hands, and this means we'll get a nice even distribution, all right?
Just going back to the sugar thing.
Yeah.
Is there a certain type of sugar you should use?
If you use a dark brown sugar, you end up with a slightly darker crumb. I'm going for a nice, vibrant, bright white, so I've used caster sugar or granulated, that's all. It's just, you know, brown sugar is going to give you a slightly darker, more caramel colour, but I think a nice, light, bright, vibrant, soft, sort of brioche-y type texture is what we want. Okay, so there we go, all blended. Right, now in with our liquid. So I've got 325 mils of room temperature milk, all right? I poured it out, I measured it, and I've left it for half an hour while I've got everything else ready. If it's in the fridge, don't worry about it. It just means things will take a little bit longer, because the colder your ingredients, the slower the reaction with the yeast and the sugar and everything will be. So if you need to just warm it up a little bit, you could always add a little shot of warm water from the tap, just to bring the temperature up. That is all you want to do. The warmer the water, the quicker the reaction. Right, just going to add that last little bit of milk, and then we start mixing. I'm going to transfer this onto a worktop in just a second. Now, can you see that, Emily?
A little bit towards coming through.
There.
Yeah.
So I can see there, I need a touch more liquid. Now, what I want to do is I want to talk to you about this. Now, you will get an exact measurement on our recipe of 325 mils of milk to 500 grams of the 2 flours. Now, everybody's kitchen will be of a different temperature. It's quite warm in here today, so you'll find that the flour, if it's a warm day, will absorb more liquid because the flour swells up. If it's a cold day, it'll absorb less. So what I found here is I need just that tiny little bit more milk. So if you're replicating this recipe and you find that it seems a little bit sort of grainy and it doesn't feel like a dough, add a touch more, that's okay. It's a very tactile, intuitive, sort of touch and feel kind of recipe. The exact measurement won't always see you right. You have to make that judgment. So I'm just going to grab some more milk. Right. We are only going to need a little bit more. We're not going to need a lot. And what I'm going to show you today is what you're looking for by using this recipe, okay? If I made this in January, 325 mils would be bang on, I would imagine. But it's getting quite warm, you know, we're into spring now. And what you can tell is when your ball of dough comes together like so, and the bowl is relatively empty, that means you've got the right measurement, okay? That means we can now transfer to a worktop, and we can start to knead. So, before we knead, I've got my butter, alright? We're just going to take it into little pieces and put it into the dough. And this is going to enrich the dough and make it really nice and soft and buttery. So just fold it in, okay?
Could you use a vegan butter also?
Yeah, you could. And actually, this custard is vegan friendly. I've got a friend from Cat's Kitchen who's got an amazing vegan restaurant in town, and she told me that Bird's custard powder is vegan friendly. Okay, so absolutely, if you want to make this vegan, all you have to do is swap out the butter for a vegan-based butter, and they're like plant-based butter. Sounds a bit nicer, doesn't it? And there are loads of them out there, some really good ones. All you need to find it, make sure is probably put, if you're doing this sort of for plant-based, put the butter in at the end because it is a much softer and it will incorporate much quicker into the dough than butter would. So, to knead, let's give you a quick kneading lesson. Now, you shouldn't need, did you see what I said there? Shouldn't need much flour. The more flour you add to this, the more tighter the dough will become, the less it will be expand and be nice and light and fluffy. So don't be tempted to put flour down. What you need to do is just hold it with one hand. I'm left-handed, so I hold it with my right and push it away with my left, like that. Pull it back over itself, and then do the same again. So hold and push. Okay? And then just as you pull it towards you, go up onto your heels of your feet, and then go down on your toes. And just use your own body weight and motion, and it takes the strain out of it. There we go. So if you've got any questions at all, and bread making, you know, I get a lot of questions about bread making, and that's cool, because the more people that make bread themselves, the better, I think. I think bread that's homemade is better for you. You can put what you like in it. You know, you can make it really crusty, you can make it soft, make it how you like. And I love bread making. I'm happiest when I'm making bread. So all I'm doing is really stretching the dough. And what I'm trying to do is develop the gluten a bit. What do you think about this, Emily? Do you make much bread?
Yeah, me and my dad do a lot at home.
Yeah?
It's quite a satisfying process, I think.
There's something wonderful about just flour and...
Yeah, you've got a dough on a mixer, but there's nothing nicer than being tactile with it.
Well, I think the thing with bread as well is what you put in, you get out at the end.
Yeah.
If you put lots of effort and time in, you get a really nice bread at the other end. If you just knock it together and don't really bother, you get a pretty average bread.
Yeah.
But what I'm finding is as I'm kneading this, it's becoming smoother. So you kind of end up in a bit of a mess, but then you come back full circle. And eventually, your dough will absorb all the little bits on the worktop, and you end up with a really nice, smooth, pliable, stretchy dough, and your worktop should be relatively clean. Okay? And I haven't added any flour to this, not one bit yet, okay? And we might add a tiny little bit, but can you see how it's just taking all the dough that's on the worktop that's spread at the beginning?
You can see how smooth it is now.
Yeah, my worktop is relatively clean now. There's no more dough. And I'm now able to just use the palm of my hand and just push the dough, like so. Okay? And now, this is what, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Have I been going 5 minutes?
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah. All I'm doing is manipulating the dough and working it till it's super smooth. All right, and we're just developing the gluten because then the gluten will hold in all the air and it will make a really nice bread. That will make a really beautiful brioche. It'll make great burger buns. It'll make a lovely loaf for breakfast. It'll be brilliant, okay? And all we're going to do now is just turn it over on itself like that. And then I'm going to put it back into my mixing bowl. We're going to cover this and we're going to leave it for about 45 minutes to an hour till it doubles in size, and then we will deal with it by dividing into portions, leaving it for a second prove, and then we'll bake them. Right, my dough has had its first prove, okay? And I'm going to share it with you now. So, now, and only now, you're allowed a little bit of flour, okay? Little touch of flour, literally that's like half a teaspoon, something like that. Now, the dough, can you see this, Emily?
I don't know that.
Look how stretchy it is, yeah?
So satisfying.
I know, you just want to play with it. So, dip my hand in a bit of flour so it comes out. Let's just scoop it out. Try and get it out in one piece. It's quite satisfying. It's a bit like when you peel an apple in one go. There's no real reason to do it, but it's quite satisfying when you do, or a satsuma or something like that. So if you can get it out in one piece like that, well done. Okay, can we cut into this, Emily?
We are there.
So look how stretchy it is. All right. So all I'm going to do is just stretch it out a little bit, okay, and then we're just going to fold it into the middle, okay, and do the same again on that side and the same again on that side. I'm just creating sort of little air pockets, and I'm just working the dough. I'm almost conditioning it really before we divide it up. So fold it over and push it, all right? It should feel really nice, okay? It should be like Play-Doh, you know? But you know it's going to taste so good later. So as I'm doing this, I'm leaning back and then I lean forward and I'm just knocking the air out of the dough so we get a really nice even rise, okay? Now, as I said before, you could just do that and you've got a loaf. Pop it into a loaf tin, let it double in size and then bake it at 180 degrees. 40 minutes, you've got a lovely brioche, okay? Easy. But what we're going to do is we're just going to squeeze it in the middle, okay? And now we've got two equal pieces. We're going to squeeze that in the middle. Now we've got two equal pieces. It's like fractions less than this, isn't it? This is where the kids should be on this one. Okay, and then squeeze again. My kids are going to be so happy when they come running into the kitchen and see lemon iced buns. Oh. Now, if you've got any questions, please put them in the Facebook feed and I will answer them. Emily might have a couple of questions ready to fire at me today, do you? Go on.
So, are you doing a lemon for icing?
I am.
What could you flavour your buns with if you wanted to flavour the bread?
Dark chocolate. That'd be nice. Oh. Yes, you could do dark chocolate. You could. Do you know what? You could do lime buns. You could do passion fruit. You could do just plain ice buns if you want. I like lemon juice because that kind of acidity and fruitiness just cuts through the sweetness of the icing and then that lovely buttery bun. But you know, whatever you might like, you could do coffee buns if you wanted. That'd be nice. Sprinkle some walnuts roasted with honey and sea salt. Oh, shows your buns on that one. Couldn't you? You might make that. But no, you can make anything you like. All I'm going to do now is, I want 9 and I've got 8. And that's making me unhappy because I want 3 rows of 3. So all I'm doing is I'm taking a little bit of dough off each one. Alright? And you could weigh them if you wanted to. But I've done this before, so I'm just doing it by eye. Okay? So I'm reasonably confident if I take that bit off there. And you could, like say, do it by eye or do it by weight and get them all. If you're the kind of person that needs everything weighed exactly, over there, weigh it. But I'm doing it by eye. I've got 9 lovely buns. So, to make a bread roll, okay, that is not a bread roll. That is just a piece of dough. Place it on your hand, okay? Are we tight into this?
Yeah,
there. Put it in your hand, and then with your other hand, put it flat. A little bit of pressure, and just roll it. So one hand's going one way and one hand's going the other way. And do you see what I'm doing like that? Can you see that all right, Emily?
A little bit lower.
A little bit lower like that?
Yeah.
And then like that? Yeah? And then if we cut to the wide, you see that?
Yeah.
And then as you're doing this, your hand wants to finish like this, okay? So you finish. You start with it flat like that, and then you finish round like so. Have you been able to capture that, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah? So you're using your thumb, and I'm trying to do it every angle possible for you.
Perfect.
Do you see how we've got a nice, lovely, smooth top, and the bottom is where the creases are. So the strength is in the top of the dough. So let's pop that down there. Let's do the next one. Okay, we'll do it in real time. So round, 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 and then finish it like that. All right?
Perfect.
Well, it's not my first one. It's not my first bun. So, what I want is a row of 3, like so. Now, you could easily make more of these and freeze them if you want. And as I said before, makes a great burger bun. If that's what you like, you could add a bit of cheese and chilli to these and make a nice chili cheese brioche. That's good. Yeah. Really nice. You could make you could just open them up and put a chunk of dark chocolate in the middle and a walnut and pop them in and encase it. You could do that. That'd work. You can deep fry these when they're proved as a donut. Blowing her mind. Blowing her mind today. Right, so, but we're going old school lemon ice bun. I'm very excited about this today.
Yeah, you can't beat a classic like that.
Bit of nostalgia. Nothing wrong with a bit of nostalgia and a bit of modern interpretation. So like when I had these, they were not brioche. Right. But I think the brioche works better. I think it just that little bit of sweetness and richness. I always did get confused when I was a kid as to why they put icing on a bread roll. It wasn't until I got a bit older and I was like, oh, I can't get that now.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was like, why have they done that? Anyway, Couplands, you're in my heart. I remember you when I was younger. Now, as you can see, we've got 9 rolls, all proved. There's a little bit of a gap in between. Now, I'm using the Masterclass baking tray. It's non-stick, and then it's got this sort of textured base on it. So it's got little air pockets, so it gets really nice and crisp. And it means the bottoms bake. And no soggy bottoms, because we don't like a soggy bottom. And it means they will there about 2 centimetre gap between them. Just to allow a little bit of proving space, but not too much. If you haven't got a tin this size, it doesn't matter. I mean, if they all prove into each other, it's not the end of the world, by any means. But just allow for a bit of space. I'm going to leave these to prove for about 30 minutes. They'll double in size. And then I'm going to bake them at 180 degrees until they're golden. Then we'll make the icing. Right, Thomas, bring them in. As you can imagine, the smell of freshly baked bread has brought somebody into the kitchen. Here we are. Now, look. You can see, check out my buns. All 9, because I've done 9 like this, they've all kind of proved into each other and then baked. And look, Emily, can you cut into that? Look how soft my buns are. Can you see that? Oh, they smell those. Alright, get your nose out. Smell them, don't inhale them. Right, because they are super non-stick, look, need I say more? Alright, let's pop them onto there. Onto our cooling rack. Right, Thomas, are you going to make some icing for me? Okay, lemon juice. For me, lemon juice all the way in my icing. There's a little bit of debate on that going on between the 2 Sidwells, but... Right, Thomas, can you use the juicer? And all you do is you take that, hold the half a lemon, and then scrunch that in. Squeeze, turn, squeeze the lemon, turn the juicer, and look what we've got. Beautiful fresh lemon juice. Now, do me a favour, do not throw these away, okay? You've squeezed all the juice out, which is Brooks. We're going to use those. These are like gold, okay? The flavour that you can get out of this afterwards is immense if you do this. So this is a jar of preserved lemons. Now let me show you the difference. All I've done is taken my lemons and put them in a jar full of table salt. Cheap table salt, not expensive. And then I have just soaked them in the salt for 4 to 6 weeks. All right, which camera do you want me to show you?
Show this one.
This one here? You see that?
Yeah.
So look at the difference. The salt has drawn out all the moisture of the lemon and it's made them like really soft like that. Can you see?
Yeah.
And that is the backbone of great Moroccan food. If you make a beautiful chickpea, sweet potato, tagine, or slow Moroccan lamb, or chicken thighs, you know, tagine, anything like that, that's what you want to add. So do not throw them away. Pop them into a preserving jar, pack it full of salt. Okay, right, Thomas, thank you very much. That is brilliant. Let me just get a cloth. What we're going to do is I'm going to add the icing sugar and you're going to stir. Okay? Right, here you go. So, icing sugar in. Alright, start stirring, young man. So the key is to get the icing just enough that when you put it on, it doesn't just dribble straight off. It needs to be thick enough to kind of sit where you've put it, if that makes sense. Okay? So, unless you want it completely sort of thinly glazed, almost like a crispy creme donut type thing. But I like a thick, like centimetre layer of lemon icing. Alright, let's get that in, son. Right, give it a good mix. So you need to get all the icing sugar to incorporate in there. We may well need a little bit more actually. We've got plenty of juice out of them lemons. So let's grab a bit more icing sugar just in case we need it. And we're going to show everyone the texture. Do you want me to have a go? I'll give it a quick mix and then we can decide whether it's thick enough. Right, we need a bit more. So can you put a spoon in there for me and I'll stir. So another big tablespoon. That's it. Good lad. And then another one. Now don't forget, if you make more of this icing than you need, it will keep happily in the fridge. Just put it in a container with a lid on it and it will sit in the fridge, no problem. Okay, I think we might be there. What we've got to do, there you go, bit more, one more spoon, it'll take it. Okay?
Big.
One more big spoon, you can do it. Alright? Good lad. Right, okay, we're done with that. That can go, take that over to one side. Okay, now I'm going to show you the texture that we want this at. Okay, so I'm going to show this camera here, look. You want a nice, thick...
Back to where you were picking the
there?
Yeah, perfect.
You want a good texture there. Okay, right. Tiny bit more in there. Thomas, stop eating sugar. You're going to be bouncing off the ceiling later. Stop it.
Okay.
Right. It's time for juicing. Time for icing.
Could you use like orange juice or lime juice?
You can use orange juice, but orange juice is sweeter, so it's not got that sharp bite that cuts through the icing sugar. Lime juice, really good. Passion fruit juice, really good. Yuzu, which is like a Japanese grapefruit, amazing. So with orange juice, you just need to get a really sour, tart one that'll counter with the sugar, otherwise it's a bit too sweet. So Thomas, I'm going to show you one. Emily, is this where you want it to be? Bring it back. She's all good, she's just waiting for a nice bun.
No, I am.
Right, so take a tablespoon, Thomas. I'm going to do the middle one. Alright, like that. Noughts and crosses. It is like noughts and crosses, isn't it? And then just... There we go. How does that look?
Good.
Alright, and the icing is just thick enough. There you go, and you have a go. It's just thick enough to sit on top of the bun. If it was thinner, it would just run off it and you get like a glaze rather than an icing. We want this iced, okay? So, we're going to crack on and get these finished. Thank you very much for watching, and as I said before, if you have any questions, post them in the Facebook feed. Either myself will reply and answer, or the team from Masterclass will reply, or they'll get in touch with me and we'll make sure we can answer your questions. If you have any questions about equipment, you want to know where I get any of my equipment for, go to Cook, Serve and Enjoy's Facebook page and that'll lead you to where you can get any of this kit from, okay? It's a new website for them where you can get everything that I use. But thank you very much for watching. Please remember, show us your buns. It's a hashtag, it's a thing, it's happening. Please share with us your best bun recipes and images, and there's definitely going to be a really awesome prize. I'm back on Wednesday. I'm going to be showing you some more buns on Wednesday, so I'll see you then.